Hiatal hernia. A hiatal hernia occurs when a part of the stomach pushes through the diaphragm and into the thoracic cavity. Now, normally, the esophagus lies above the diaphragm and the stomach lies below it. And the esophagus actually meets the stomach through a small opening in the diaphragm, which is called as the hiatus. This hiatus or opening, it encircles tightly around this lower esophageal sphincter. Now, if you note, the function of the lower esophageal sphincter is to make sure that there is no reflux of any of the food content that enters the stomach. And the principle by which it prevents this reflux is through the pressure which is created inside the lower esophageal sphincter. Now, what happens in this hiatal hernia is that this opening or hiatus becomes loose or dilated, thus allowing the stomach to enter into the thoracic cavity. Since the lower esophageal sphincter is also pushed upwards and away from the hiatus, the pressure inside the lower esophageal sphincter decreases, and there is also longer period of LES relaxation, especially at the night time. Thus, the work of the lower esophageal sphincter is compromised and it cannot prevent the reflux of stomach content into the esophagus. Thus, there is continuous reflux of the stomach content and also the acid, which causes esophagitis and its related complications into the patient. Coming to the types of hiatal hernia. There are two types of hiatal hernia. The first one is the sliding type, which is the most commonest one, while the other one is the paraesophageal hernia. It is rare but the most complicated one. Now, in sliding hernia, the lower esophageal sphincter and a part of the stomach moves upward in a sliding fashion. So, this is how the stomach and the esophagus will slide upwards from its normal position. In paraesophageal hernia, the stomach pushes through the diaphragm to lie beside the esophagus. So, in this, the esophagus is not moving from its place, but rather it is just the stomach that is rolling to its side. Thus, it is also called as the rolling hernia. This paraesophageal hernia is also graded into grade 1, 2, 3 and 4 according to the extent of the herniation. Though hiatal hernia can occur in anybody, let us discuss some of the most commonest risk factors associated with this disorder. The first risk factor is age. It is found that in the older age group, due to aging related loss of the tone of diaphragm and increased intra-abdominal pressure due to continuous coughing, the hiatal hernia is common in this age group. Pregnancy, obesity, and ascites, which also increases the abdominal pressure, can cause hiatal hernia. Now, most of the time, this hiatal hernia is asymptomatic, that is, it does not show any sign and symptoms in the patient. But if sign and symptoms do occur, the following are the commonest sign and symptoms associated with hiatal hernia. The first one is heartburn and regurgitation. Due to the continuous reflux of all the stomach content, the esophageal mucosa becomes irritated, causing the sign and symptom. The next is dysphagia, that is, difficulty in swallowing. This occurs as a result of esophagitis, which is inflammation of the esophagus. The feeling of fullness also occurs as the stomach capacity decreases. Chest pain occurs as a result of the stomach putting pressure onto the diaphragm. The patient also suffers from hiccups. Bleeding and anemia occurs due to esophageal ulceration, while bowel sounds can be heard in the chest regions. Now coming to the diagnostic test, the gold standard test for determining hiatal hernia is the esophagogastroduodenoscopy. It is a procedure in which a thin lighted tube, that is the endoscope, is put through the mouth and throat till it reaches the duodenum. This procedure is both diagnostic as well as therapeutic, wherein it can help visualize the problem and can also be used to put instrument and remove a small growth or tissue sample. For hiatal hernia, it only have a diagnostic purpose. Other investigations that can be done are X-ray studies, barium swallow and fluoroscopy. Now let us discuss briefly the management of hiatal hernia. The conservative management of treating hiatal hernia includes treating the disorder to relieve the symptoms, as most of the times hiatal hernia are asymptomatic and does not possess any risk. The treatment includes prevention of gastric reflux, modifying lifestyles like not sleeping at least 1 hour after having meal, elevating head end of the bed during sleep, decreasing weight, alteration in diet, which includes low fat diet and small frequent meals, stopping the smoking, and reducing alcohol, which both reduces sphincter functions. Drugs like proton pump inhibitors may be given, which acts to reduce the gastric acid secretion, which further reduces the symptoms. If the patient requires surgery due to any reason, then there are two aspects of hiatal hernia surgery. First is cruroplasty and the second is fundoplication. In cruroplasty, the herniated part is brought back down from the thorax into the abdomen, and the hiatus is also closed in such a way to bring it to its appropriate size. In fundoplication, the fundal part of the stomach is wrapped around the lower esophageal sphincter and is stitched in place to support and strengthen the lower esophageal sphincter. The two common types of fundoplication that are performed are the Nissen fundoplication and the Belsey fundoplication. The Nissen fundoplication is performed laparoscopically, wherein the fundus part of the stomach is wrapped around the lower end of the esophagus and is stitched in place. This encircles the lower esophageal sphincter and facilitates the functioning of the lower esophageal sphincter. The Belsey fundoplication is similar to Nissen fundoplication, except that it involves a 270-degree wrap in an attempt to reduce the incidence of gas bloating and postoperative dysphagia. Let us finally discuss the complications of the surgery. First, reoccurrence of the hernia may occur as the muscles may loosen again. The abdominal bloating and dysphagia is very common, especially if the fundoplication is too tight. Fundal necrosis is wherein the blood supply to the fundal part is cut off, which is a very important surgical emergency requiring major gastric resection. The complications of the disorder itself consist of incarceration, strangulation, and volvulus, that is, twisting of the stomach, which is again a very fatal condition requiring immediate attention.